Sacred woman in the making. Sacred woman, reawaken. Sacred spirit, hold me near. Protect me from all harm and fear beneath the stones of life. Direct my steps in the right way as I journey through this vision. Sacred spirit, surround me in your most absolute perfect light. Anoint me in your sacred purity, peace, and divine insight. Bless me, truly bless me, as I share this sacred life. Teach me, sacred spirit, to be in tune with the universe. Teach me how to heal with the inner and outer elements of air, fire, water, and earth. Beloved ancestors, may our body temples become sacred altars, clothed in an array of rainbow colors, reflecting the beauty and the boundless creativity of your light, so that our body temples may honor our beautiful spirit. May divine beauty be anchored in our harmonious thoughts, and may our peaceful attitudes and conscientiousness be reflected in the sacredness of our dress. May we be a walking embodiment of the beauty of the Creator, so that others may be uplifted by the sacred beauty we emanate in all our ways. I am a sacred woman. 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 Before we officially started dancing, I wanted to channel a form of African American dancing, or like it feels like it's pretty black, dude. It feels pretty Black American. I don't know. I'm not gonna pretend like I know the history of this dance or anything, but one of the types of dances that has always inspired me is the Majorette dancers. They usually dance for like marching bands, but they also compete with each other. I'm not sure the whole logistics of everything. I just like watching them. So I've been following them ever since I found them. I don't know if I saw them online first or if I saw them in person in Kentucky first when I moved there, when I was like 17. But anyways, they've always inspired me ever since then. I love the flow of the dramatic, feminine, sensual movements combined with, twerking and getting low and everybody moving in unison. It's like one of my few favorite types of choreography. And so obviously we're not doing choreography, but we are, expressing ourselves. We're expressing our balance. We're finding ways to move within ourselves that go beyond what we usually do, perhaps. And so we're probably not going to be as athletic as they get, not doing any death drops. But we can, challenge that essence of utilizing the full width of our arms, your legs if you have the space. My room, I feel like every day my husband comes home and brings home something else and then plops it here on the floor. And I'm like, what is this? Like, what are these things? Like, his tool bags, he also gets free things sometimes from, like, he works in, like, a pretty nice neighborhood, so then the people they work for sometimes give them free stuff. Like, anyways, I'm planning on just selling it. I'm gonna start just eBaying this stuff out, like, as soon as it comes in, cataloged and go. Anyways, so my room's kind of a mess and I can't do full range, plus I'm wearing a dress that has like this much room for the feet, so I wouldn't be doing too many kicks anyways if I wanted to. But yeah, just channel it with this music. Obviously it's a little different from like marching band or from doing regular, listening to hip-hop or whatever, everything else that these girls do. I just love that dance so much, you guys, and I think it's so funny. You know how Beyonce had Majorette dancers in her Coachella performance, and that was, a nod to historically Black colleges, obviously, and, the long line of these dancers. And it was so funny to me that when Taylor Swift copied she chose to kind of dress like a majorette dancer instead of hiring them, which I'm sure it like makes me laugh, and I'm still kind of like annoyed that it probably happened, is that she has to have probably asked around to see if there was like a white troupe somewhere. And, you know, she didn't find it. And so she did the best she could with what she had. And anyways, I like it because it's not really something that can be appropriated easily. It's just not, to be completely honest. I'm sure at some point we'll see it, but for right now, it feels really ingrained and really cool. So it's pretty exclusive, and that's really nice. So anyways, I thought we would channel some of their energy. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you should definitely go look them up, or you can just dance along today and really feel the extravagance of your movements and look at them later. That's okay too. I don't mind. I'll see if maybe I can like link some. I don't know. I've never really looked on YouTube for videos. I usually just follow this on Instagram, and before that it was Tumblr. Anyway. Sacred movement, I want to do a very simple and introspective, I guess, sacred movement. So get yourself a veil. I have here a dancing veil that I got on Amazon for pretty cheap a long time ago, but you can use, you know, any kind of veil that you think of. Just make sure you stay safe, and you know, really feel the music and interpret it how your body needs to feel it at that time. We're going to be using music from the Sacred Woman Medicine CD from Queen Afua. I've had a few people ask like about it because it appears to be sold out on her site. I highly encourage you to just call Queen, you know. They have a number on the site, or send an email if you don't really feel like doing all that. But usually they answer, and keep in mind they are on the East Coast. But yeah, just call and ask and say, you know, when do you think it'll be back? Can I be on the waiting list? Can I pay now and then you guys ship it? You know, maybe they have something in place that can help out specifically with the Sacred Woman CD. So we're going to be listening to I Wrote a Letter to Myself, as well as something else. I'm not sure yet. But they're all on the CD, and there's really no other way to get it besides through Queen.
Loving myself has been difficult, simply to be who I am, just to believe that who I am is perfect. Looking in the mirror, here's my chest. I wrote a letter to myself, and I sent it right away. I said I love you more and more each day. I wrote a letter to myself, and I sent it right away. I said I love you more and more each day. I looked at my face, my eyes, my smile, and that's when I realized it had been here all the while. I looked at myself, so strong, tall and proud. I looked in my heart, and I knew love was found. I wrote a letter to myself, and I sent sent it right away. I said I love you more and more each day. Hey, I wrote a letter to myself and I sent it right away. I said I love you more and more each day.
Great divine moot, we, your daughters, are in need of healing. So we ask that you heal us with your elements, air, fire, water, earth.
A natural mood, a natural mood, a natural mood, a natural mood. Nude mood imba, nude mood imba, nude mood imba, nude mood imba. A natural mood, a natural mood, a natural mood, a natural mood. In bed head mood in bed head mood im nef, in bed head mood im nef, in bed head mood im nef. A natural mood, a natural mood, a natural mood, a natural mood. Sekamet sat ra, sekamet sat ra, sekamet sat ra, sekamet sat ra. A natural mood, a natural mood, a natural mood, a natural mood. Tef nude mood im nu, tef nude mood im nu, tef nude mood im nu, tef nude mood im nu. A natural mood, a natural mood, a natural mood, a natural mood. Ta earth mood im geb, ta earth mood im geb, ta earth mood im geb, ta earth mood im geb. A natural mood, a natural mood, a natural mood, a natural mood. Imbu mutu interu, imbu mutu interu, imbu mutu interu, imbu mutu interu. A natural mood, 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 a natural mood.
So I don't know what part of the video I'm going to be putting this in, but I wanted to briefly talk about my jacket, which I'm wearing because it's kind of cold in this room right now. I don't know why. It's been kind of chilly. Like, it just was gray. Now it's starting to get a little nicer, but it's been gray for a few days. But anyways, I bought this jacket hella long ago. I bought this for the premiere of Wakanda, of Black Panther. Okay, like, I've been preparing my family's outfits for Black Panther for like years before it came out, and then I realized I didn't have an outfit, so I contacted like a seller, chose this like crazy cool futuristic jacket, and like it was not in this color originally. It was like this purple with white and like darker purple and blue swirls. It was like this crazy Ankara fabric. Anyways, she sent it to me, and she sent it to me like a huge size, like not even a size where I could kind of be like, oh, it's like an extra large. Like, it was like, like, it took some time, but eventually, like, you know, she didn't have that fabric anymore. I like can't be expected to walk miles upon miles for someone else's mistake. And then it was like, because I didn't have a car at the time, and like I had the twins. I was still, you know, I was still weak and everything. So anyways, so I used the money from what she like owed me in store credit, and I got the jacket again because this is what I wanted. This is what I wanted from her store. Everything else in her store was, you know, it was like cool, but it was like, you know, it wasn't this. So I got this one, and like, this was the only fabric she had left that I thought could like go with my wardrobe, but it isn't the other one. So it's like, I love it, but would have loved the other one more. And so I'm wearing it now just to like enjoy it and like get used to seeing it and wear it with something else, you know, something else that I own. Let's see about that. I don't know about the hood. I haven't really tried that yet. Anyways, I should stop. But it's a sacred beauty video. It's a sacred beauty video. So anyways, that's why I'm wearing this like exorbitant coat instead of maybe something more practical. We're about to finish Sacred Beauty. And we're on page 240. We left off on page 240 last time. We talked about the eyes last. We talked about, you know, smizing, I guess, but also about practicing other emotions, just your eyes, practicing love, anger, happiness, sadness, ecstasy, all of those feelings, seeing how you look, seeing if you're conveying what you think you're conveying when you make those faces. That, I think, is way more important than trying to, you know, act like somebody else. But I mean, making sure that how you're acting is actually conveying what you're trying to say. And sometimes you do need to change. Sometimes the look on your face does not convey what you think it was conveying. You know, so anyway, it reminds me again of, you know, in America's Next Top Model, since we were talking about smizing, about, you know, how some girls would think they were making a sexy face, but it was like all they were doing was like, and like Tyra would get pissed. She would be like, close your mouth, don't let me see your teeth, you know, smize, like, let me see your eyes, you know what I mean? She was not having it. She was not feeling it. Especially the girls who thought they were the most vixeny, you know what I mean? Because they were really like feeling themselves with the slack jaw, you know, she would totally come for them and be like, clean it up, you know what I mean? You don't look like what you think you look like. And it's such a good lesson for, you know, other situations too, even if you're not trying to be America's Next Top Model. Okay, so she talked also, I'm not sure if we covered hands and nails. Cover hands and nails with the clay, wrapped in gauze, you know, massage with castor or olive oil into each finger, stretch your hands, exercise them. In one of my playlists, I want to say the Journey Through the Gateways, Sacred Woman Journey Through the Gateways, playlist. I think I have like this Indian video where she like is just doing like different hand signs that they use in those sacred feminine Indian dances, and that one is so fun for me. First, it's fun always, as Queen said, to try out feminine dances from other cultures and, you know, expand your abilities in femininity, and then other dances, obviously, if you're into them, or making other dances feminine, you know, making your own take on them, because, you know, it's not like you're trying to take this to a museum or a show somewhere. You're in your home, experimenting with your own body and your own soul. So definitely, especially those more ancient feminine dances, which this one is, and if I remember it correctly, each of those different hand movements says something different. It's like its own form of sign language. The same as every move in a hula dance, you know, means something. In different African dances, the way you move your hips, the energy behind your feet, the rhythm that you stomp, it all means something different. It's the same here. So, you know, the different ways you move your hands, it's really fun, it's really pure, it's really sacred, and it's a really good thing for sacred movement when you don't have, like when you're on your period or you like don't feel like moving like that, but you still kind of want to commit to your journey, you still want to do something, or you're building up your strength from something and you just want to keep moving a little bit every day and add this to your beauty regime of sacred movement. I'm going to try and find the video. I remember it not having a lot of views, but I was like, this is gold. I've said this like so many times over the last 2 years or so. I'm like, this video is gold. But anyways, I'm going to try and find it myself and link it down below. But if you don't, you know, it's in one of my playlists, of which there are like 30, so good luck. But it's in one of the playlists for sure. Get a manicure weekly or bi-weekly along with your pedicure. We were supposed to do something with our nails. I ended up just plunging and buying stuff for like poly gel for nails because I don't know. One of my earliest memories is using pop-on nails like at like 3 years old and just like loving it and like struggling through my day too. I totally remember like not being able to pick up pencils, the adults in the room like laughing and being like, "Do you want to take those off?" Or like me basically just trying to pick up the pencils and leave so they could just shut up. And like I've always had like a little thing love in relationship with pop on nails since then. But then I kept wanting acrylic, but it's kind of expensive to upkeep. And who wants to want acrylic and then pop in just to only be, amazing for a month and then never upkeep that again. You know what I'm saying? So anyways, I got inspired by all of these polygel nail kit tutorials on Amazon and yeah, I bought one. And so we'll see how I turn out. I'll update you guys. I'll update you on my Sacred Beauty nails and all that. Because I was like, what? I like, I've been like, I was preaching to you guys and I was like, that's something I'm always thinking about. And then I like never get it done. I follow so many nail channels and hashtags and all those things. And I never actually, so I'm going to try it and we'll see about me doing it for myself. That's like one of those things I think people who are like stay at home moms, I would say, stay at home wives, you don't run into this issue. But stay at home moms definitely run into the issue of they're never feeling like there's $60+ to spend on yourself every month. All right, so dress your feet in spirit. She wants us to pay attention to our feet. This is a big one, I think, because well, partially I've been seeing like this scandal. I feel like it's a scandal where white people don't wash their legs or something. Like, and they're celebrities too. Like, they're news anchors and actresses say also that they rarely, if never, lean over and scrub their legs. Queen reminds you that your ankles and your feet are super important. They are what's physically carrying you around. And especially if you're, if you keep your feet in shoes all the time, you definitely need to take them out, wash them between the toes and everything, scrub them down, oil them up, and let them get some air to them. If you're somebody who, like me, who never wears shoes ever, no matter what you're doing, make sure you're washing your, foot chains and your foot gear and stuff. And make sure you're also washing your feet because, hopefully, in this case, you would be washing your feet way more than people wash their shoes. So, it would just make sense when you get in the shower, just scrub it down. I don't understand. I didn't think this was something, but it's true. Like, I think when I first read it, I was like, yeah, people neglect their feet. Like, I was like, yeah, what do I ever think about my feet? I scrub it and I leave. And like, I put lotion on it, obviously, because it's like, once you're down, you're down there. But, I never put any special care into my feet. That's what I used to think, But now, lo and behold, I'm hearing people do way even less than that, So it's important. It's important. She says, my feet are of Ta. Ta is the Interu divine principle of foundation and stability. We tend to neglect our feet in this Western society, but our ancestors were mindful of beauty and care from head to foot. You'll notice that if you are caring for your feet in a divine and sacred way, it indicates that you have already given full and proper love and attention to your entire body temple. So like in that same way that we start here and we radiate out, I think a lot of the times we do start at, like in this case in the book, the womb, and then we kind of radiate upwards and outwards to the rest of our bodies. So now we are like reaching our toes. We're paying attention to like the sacred ways we take care of our entire body. The ceremony can be part of a closing ceremony for you in the rites of passage. This is in the final ceremony. I have a very firm goal for us to do this for this year's ceremony. Last year, I just couldn't figure out how to put it in a way that like made sense. But this year I'm really hoping to put this ceremony in, and this is the foot washing ceremony. In this case, each sacred woman's mentor blesses and washes her spiritual daughter's feet so that she will walk in power through the rest of her life. Or you can perform whenever you decide to honor your sacred feet by adorning them. So this is something that you can do for yourself to honor yourself and empower yourself as you step into whatever it is you're doing for that day. Maybe it's just your everyday life. Maybe it's like something serious. You're going to court. Maybe, it's something that you need. You're going to try and get a job or a house. Walking in purpose in that moment is excellent. You know what I mean? Making that ritual before you do something like that so you can walk in power is excellent. And then also what she has here described with the mentor blessing her daughter's feet. This is a sort of baptism. And I don't want you to feel like once we get to the end of this, like, well, I don't know anybody who's 20, 30, 40 plus years older than me. And like nobody mentored me, etc. Either you do it to yourself or you find somebody who you two can do it to each other. Maybe make that your goal, that by December you found somebody who, you both can just do this ritual for each other. And maybe for them it won't be exactly the same thing as it will be for you, because maybe for them it will just be a blessing from a peer who is blessing their feet, blessing their purpose, blessing their vision in life or in a certain purpose, but it will still be a beautiful exchange and an exchange of energy, and that is also what's important in this situation. So she asks you to wash your feet with almond soap, clay soap, or black soap. I also would like to throw in the suggestion of conditioned soaps. Root working hoodoo soaps that focus on certain conditions that may be in your life at this time. So making this ritual very serious, adding some Florida water perhaps also to that foot bath, to that foot soak. So that you are, again, walking in purpose. So again, this spiritual bath does not have to be this whole on, poured on over your head, the whole thing type of experience. It can be an experience in which you are blessing a certain part of your body only, or you are anointing with the water to a certain part of your body only. It does not have to be that huge experience every time. You can do these minor blessings as you go through that. Do you see me? I'm just standing here with a fan, just like talking. What am I doing? Okay, so massage your feet with the almonds or the olive oil. For self-healing, learn the skill of reflexology, zone therapy, massaging certain parts of your foot to get certain results for the rest of your internal organs. I know you've seen those pictures on Instagram where they had the foot and then it's drawn all the different, like the heart, the intestines, the this and the that are affected when you massage certain things. And then you also know that that's why they say don't get your ankles massaged and certain other things when you're pregnant, because that can stimulate an abortion. But this is also good news to hear in some cases for some people, you know what I mean? So it just depends on who you are, what your goal is, and how your body is doing at that time. So, but I have heard very sad cases of people who thought that they were helping, their wives or whoever by massaging them while they were pregnant and to help relieve this pain, but then they were chronically causing miscarriages. It's happened. And that's why it's so important to understand the body, understand, what's going on. So, she reminds us the foot is the roadmap to the entire body, can stimulate, reflex, and energize the bloodstream, nerves, lungs, vision, sinus, minds, etc. It's all in the feet. She reminds us to smoke cleanse your feet, right? So I just mentioned the Florida water. She says also smoke cleanse. Remember, you can use sage and palo, which everybody uses, but keep in mind that those two, unless you have the direct bloodline, first of all, the full power and potential is not open to you. That's first of all. For certain types of sage, I want to say it's like the white sage of Native Americans, and then the Palo Santo of certain tribes of South America. They smell good or whatever. They feel cleansing when you breathe them in, and etc. But they are for specific bloodlines that hold certain ties to them, and they're also being over harvested because random people are just buying them and selling it, and etc. So there are so many other options. I want to say, you can burn all the regular incense like frankincense, myrrh. Let's see, there's, I want to say camphor. There's mugwort. There's pretty much all the flowers you can burn. There's, well, not all the flowers, but you get what I'm saying. There's like poppy, rose, lavender. There's also cinnamon sticks. Remember, I've burned just plain old cinnamon sticks. So the options are really endless. You can smoke cleanse with a lot of things, and I really urge you, don't get just caught up in like what everybody else is doing. Everybody wants to have like a rose wrapped sage stick. Figure out what works for you. You know what I'm saying? Find those blends that work for you, the different wildflower blends that work for you, or the different, maybe have a cinnamon stick as your base and wrap wildflowers all the way around that, and that can be something that you have that means something to you, and that is something that you can use, you know what I mean? Or find the root worker whose work really speaks to you because of its not only like originality, but the clear effort that they are putting in behind it, the clear work that they are putting in, because that's what you're trying to get when you're buying it from somebody else, right? You're not just trying to get the pretty package. When you get that plain old, Florida water, you still have to pray over that and stuff, because who knows what's in it? Who knows who prayed over it? Who knows what any of this is? You know what I mean? Hopefully when you buy from somebody else, the hope is that for the most part, a lot of that heavy work is done. And that way you can kind of channel it to your own family and your own vision. But the heavy work behind it, the heavy intention behind it is complete. So anyways, keep that in mind when you're purchasing from people. She reminds you to anoint your feet with rose water, sandalwood balm, or sweet oils that suit you. As you put your toe rings on, bless your feet. Say out loud, my feet are of Ta, solid and strong. I can walk through any challenge successfully and confidently. If you don't feel comfortable calling to Ta, which I wouldn't, you can then just say, my feet are of the ancestors, tall and strong. I can walk through any challenge successfully and confidently. Or you can just say the second sentence, easy. For the lotus so that was for that was just to bless your feet before, so you can rub your hands, bless them. She says make a prayer for the different toe rings that you have. So in this case, she's talking about the Mott toe ring, the lotus toe ring, the Ankh toe ring. This does not mean you need to go buy these specific toe rings. Perhaps for you, it makes more sense to go buy the Ouroboros, right? That snake that connects its mouth to its head. That's African, right? So maybe that speaks to you more. Maybe it speaks to you more to have a certain like a bee, to have a different type of animal, but also to have a different type of deity. You know what I'm saying? There's going to be a different vision for each of you. And so it does not mean that for you're going to be doing the Ankh, and you're going to be doing Mott, and you're going to be doing the feather, this, that, and the third. For you, maybe the feather has nothing to do with Mott. Maybe it has something to do with something else totally different. So this case, this is very good example. This is very good guidelines for your lifestyle. But obviously, your average person who has these other religions, there's no point. Queen says very firmly at the beginning of the book, this book is for every religion. So obviously, certain people are never going to feel comfortable doing this Mott stuff, whatever. Some people will. Some people will just try to take on the mantle just to see what it does for them. And, if you need to do that, I don't know, I like, obviously I don't have nothing against it because I don't know your life. You know what I mean? I don't know where you've been that gets you to this point. And I've been there. I've been at the point where I put on an Ankh just to see if it felt good. You know what I mean? And it did feel good for a little while until it didn't. You know what I mean? Until it wasn't like quite right, because it didn't quite feel like me. You know what I mean? It felt good because it gave a sort of sense of power, but it didn't feel good because it didn't feel like me. And so once I had to come to grips with that, I was able to move on to my ancestors, to understanding myself as an African American woman, or as a mixed Black African American woman, and go from there. So, for the Mott ring, the example, my feet are of Mott. I walk in Mott with the truth, balance, and righteousness. For the lotus toe ring, she has my feet are of Nephratum. I walk in beauty, grace, and divinity. So find the different symbols that mean that to you. Perhaps it is a sort of flower, you know, but perhaps it is something else as well. My feet are of the Ankh. I will walk in full respect of life. So, you know, and also, like, you know, using this symbolism, maybe using the Ankh symbolism sometimes works, maybe it sometimes doesn't work for you, you know. It will depend on the situation. Always follow intuitively, because sometimes, you know, utilizing the Ankh is the perfect thing to utilize, you know, to symbolize maybe the womb, the father, the mother, and the child, or whatever. Maybe the Ankh is a perfect one to represent eternal life in the situation that you're trying. You know what I mean? It means so many things that, you know, depending on how you use it, maybe you'd feel comfortable in this situation or not that situation. Maybe you feel comfortable using it in your root work, but not wearing it on your body. Okay? So, and that all of that is okay. That is all your sacred beauty expressing itself. So she also reminds us to, you can place fresh petals around your feet and rest in quiet meditation as you absorb the divine spirit of beauty through and around your feet. She suggests rose. Use what you have, use what you can. Place those petals around you. In fact, let's do that this week sometime. Let's find some fresh petals, and you tag me, and I'm gonna post mine as well. And we'll all connect with each other through a sacred foot blessing, like what I've just described from the beginning, with the washing the feet, of course, first. So once you've she also reminds you can do this with or without toe rings. Blessing your feet and making them sacred is the most important part. The most important part. You can bless every single piece of your sacred jewelry and put it on. If you have no sacred jewelry for your feet yet, or, you know, next time, whatever, that is okay. That is okay. You know, use what you can, what you have now. Proper body temple etiquette. Your voice, working on your speaking voice. She reminds us that gentleness is a strength. It is a form of wisdom a lot of the time. A lot of people don't realize that, and it's something we push against because, like I said, a lot of feminine qualities are degraded, perceived as weak, perceived as useless, not something to be honed, not something to be utilized. It's something that's often the first thing cast aside in any situation, and I'm guilty of this. I've definitely done this a lot of times in my life. But she reminds us to stay in our center is usually the best bet. And that when you're in your center, this means that you're not speaking harshly. Often, usually, this does not this means you're not speaking too loudly. I think, you know, this again just kind of depends on the situation. But if you are somebody who finds yourself constantly angry and yelling and like frustrated and over the top, that stress yelling definitely will take a toll in your health. She says, you know, it does damage to members of the body just like an illness. So your voice sings a song of life, love, peace, power, energy, honesty. It's like music to the soul. The speaking voice is like music to the soul. It should be clear like a bell. Your voice is the expression of your spirit. If your spirit is in tune, your voice reflects the inner condition of the body temple. When you're in tune, you can pierce someone's heart with the sound of your voice. You can end a war with the texture of your voice. You can begin a healing ministry with the power of your voice. Walking. Without realizing it, the charm schools of today use African etiquette as a guide for the proper manner of walking, sitting, and standing. It began with our ancestors. Stand tall, head straight, neck long, shoulders down as you walk with your feet parallel. Walking in a strong, straightforward way was shown on the temples walls of the first people. Perfection in stature was our way. One of my tips for that, remember, is that your chest is a little bit up, not all like, you know, not hurting yourself, but your chest being up helps your shoulders and everything go down correctly. Sitting. The ancient way of sitting was a pose of power, shoulders down, back straight, legs long, feet forward, hands placed quietly on your thighs. This type of sitting aligned you physically and spiritually. Baba Ishangi once said, "Beauty is a spirit. So be certain to dress your spirit in the fashion of kindness, understanding, tolerance, patience, gentleness, and love, for then you will possess the true spirit of beauty." All right, so that is the ultimate true sacred beauty. Your fashion should be that of kindness, understanding, tolerance, patience, gentleness, and love, for that is the true spirit of beauty. She said nothing about the color purple, specifically wearing certain things, specifically wearing certain outfits. The bottom line of sacred beauty is about embracing yourself and embracing what gives you that power, and making sure that the baseline of what you're doing and how you're dressing and how you're showing yourself to the world, that you're perceived, that you're somebody who is tolerant, you're somebody who is good, you're somebody who's working towards that. There's no question. I mean, there are people out there, obviously, who are going to have stereotypes and like be antiquated, whatever. But at the very base of it, it should be about patience, understanding, wisdom. And that does not mean that you have to, look like Erykah Badu. That was my point. We can be whoever we need to be. So we also had I'm honored to introduce. So she has another example here of a divine priestess. Let's see. She is the chief priestess of beautification, Snt Ert Kaitha Heteru, the keeper of the shrine of Sekhmet, and the author of I Love My Beautiful Body Temple. Here she's just showing how her appearance can be deeply spiritual and inspired by those around us, as well as empowered by her own energies and beauty. So she notes that she has facial adornments. She has taken careful care with her face. Cole outlined her eyes. She has a nose ring that has a design specifically of the cow horn, the lunar disc, the ancient symbol of Het Heru. So for her, that means, something very specific, even down to her nose adornment. And that's pretty funny because the nose, ring I have in now is the sun, because not only am I a fire sign, I'm a Leo, I'm also like fire energy. When I got my readings a long time ago, I understood that, I have like this fire energy within me. Everything is fire. And so, for me, the sun and the solar timeline and the solar energies have always really spoken to me a lot. And, everybody always wants to be out in like the moonlight and stuff, but I'm always like, I just want to go sit out in the sun. And I love to have my stuff charge in the sun. And of course I love, midnight as well, because that's part of the solar cycle. But still, I've always, really loved that. So anyways, it can be down to, your nose ring, your earrings, your, the way you put something in your hair, perhaps. She says sacred circle hoops represent the interconnection of all life. On her ears, the hoop is something you will find all across the diaspora, all across everywhere, and it is pretty much, it is only very recently that they started with that, like, the hoop, the bigger the hoop, the bigger the hoe. They trashing people who wear the hoops. It's hated on, whatever. And that's because that's for us has been a spiritual symbol. In some communities, the bigger your hoop grows, you're gifted bigger hoops, should I say, as you get older. And it's supposed to signify you're moving through the community, you're growing as a person in the community, as a person in this religion, etc. And so it symbolizes to other people where you're at and what they can ask you for. And it's a symbol of pride. And so using the hoops to represent that continued circle, or whatever symbolism you choose to ascribe to it, and just continue that proud tradition of wearing hoops, because there's meaning for it all across everywhere, you know what I mean? And so for some people, it's not just a meaning, it's just, a feeling of, and something that connects with the bloodline. Your mother did it, so you do it. It's as simple as that sometimes. So then we have the Uja covers her first eye or pineal gland, is a Mtu Nter, or a hieroglyph for strength. That's amazing. So she has her head wrapped tied, should I say. It looks like the top is open. Sorry, it's like black and white. I don't even know if it's going to be able to show when I show you guys this, but she has one of those dangling ornaments, and on that ornament is a symbol for strength. She's covering herself in this symbolism. So you can perhaps, I mean, wouldn't it be cool if we could find somebody who made those, that in the Adinkra symbols that we study every day? That would be pretty awesome. Wishful thinking. Anyways, her falcon of Heru earrings represent the inner light of spirit. So she, even down to her earrings, are focused on her spirituality, focused on her journey, focused on what she wants to convey to the world, but also a protection kind of amulet on herself, her body as a sacred temple. Her clothing, she has a pedesa, which means protective wrap. It is the ancient name for this African Nubian dress. So it's a roby outfit, you know, typical. Het Haru's braided new locks are adorned with a wrapped Senu Nusa crown. So yeah, she has these long locks that are braided down. She looks amazing, you know, and of course the head wrap on top. In her hand is an ankh, on her finger is an ankh ring. Hessa, her protective jewelry, was designed by Haru Ankh Ra Samaj in the studio of Ta. I actually love that guy's jewelry. I'm always telling my husband, I'm like, yeah, we are gonna save up and get rings from that place, because I don't know, I just like them. They're really thick, golden. Well, I mean, you can get them in gold, and they're just encrusted with these. It's just awesome. And he'll do it in, you know, symbols and things that you would like, and he can customize things. So anyways, I'm excited. I always get excited thinking of his jewelry. All right, so we're going to read now the Sacred Beauty 7-Day Transformative Work for the last few days until we meet again. Why am I like tucking this in my shirt like I'm not in my own house right now? Okay. She urges that you have gone through the rest of the gateway, all of the information as we have done before we start our sacred transformative work. Familiarize yourself with the content and the purpose before you undertake the work. So we've been practicing a little, and now we're ready to really try and embody all of this ourselves. This week, try and think beautiful thoughts daily. Meditate in nature, in gardens, parks, or woods, by streams, rivers, lakes, or ocean. 1 to 3 times during the 7 days to enhance your inner beauty and healing. As you visit nature in meditation, keep a journal of beautiful thoughts and affirmations that are coming through you. Use this gateway in your journal to release all obstacles or disharmonies that are separating you from those beautiful thoughts and from beauty. Once recorded, transform your negative thoughts into divine, beautiful possibilities and visions. So even if it's fanciful, take those things that are negative and that are pressing your mind and turn them in your mind into something beautiful. Turn it into maybe something you can be grateful of, but perhaps a vision of the future. And utilize this as a time to be focusing just on those beautiful thoughts just for a week, to try and recalibrate how your brain is jumping to conclusions on things. Create sacred attire for yourself. Design special garments that add sacred beauty to aspects of your wardrobe, all the aspects of your wardrobe, from head to toe to accessories to whatever it is that you're thinking of. And, you know, feel free to start getting rid of things that don't speak to that and that you don't want to, you know, portray yourself as. Seek out help from designers, seamstresses, and sister queens who embody the sacred beauty that you seek. So, you know, making your Pinterest vision board, following people who perhaps embody a lot of what you're thinking, so you're inspired by them. And, you know, obviously following the designers and the things that, so it's like you're not only making your clothes, but you're able to perhaps supplement your wardrobe and get it started in the direction you're going for. And if it's a little more higher quality, you know, perhaps I suggest the Digit app, and then use it to make savings accounts for different, you know, clothes items you want, and slowly save up for them. And once you get to it, you know, then you can purchase those things in good faith, whatever. Because usually designers, like once it's higher quality, it's not just like fast fashion where it's like get it now and it's gone forever. Whereas in like the nicer ones, it's like this is our collection and you buy this. So she asks, choose the colors of the day to empower you. That was on page 233 if you have a book. Love and pamper your body temple daily, not just on holidays and birthdays, because every day you live is a special occasion. Every day you live is a good day to wake up and be grateful that you're here and tell the ancestors out loud you're grateful you're here, and you're excited for what's in store today. Give yourself a clay facial every other day to keep your skin radiant and weekly thereafter. Give yourself a hair and scalp herbal or clay treatment once a week to rejuvenate and cleanse hair and scalp. Revitalize your original beauty. Be brave. Strive for natural hair, or at least avoid putting chemicals in your hair, whatever it is that you choose to do. There are like, so straightening, weave, etc. Whatever you do, she says that the bare minimum that she asks is that you do not put chemicals in your hair. Don't put things that can burn you, things that there really isn't as much evidence that it's not that bad for you or whatever. Things that, have, chemicals and things. There are many, and of course I understand there are natural chemicals and there are things that are good for you that are chemicals, but we're talking about the ones that are dangerous, obviously. Take an air bath after your water bath or shower as often as possible. Let yourself air out that way. Wear the Ast Nevet Het sacred shawl to remind you of your sacred beauty self when in the morning prayer, or spiritual protection when you go out in the world. So you can just tie a scarf under your neck like this, under the back of your hair. You can wrap it up, all those things. You can just let a veil be over your face, over your head. Pray like that in the mornings, or you can go out like that as well. It's your choice. Create a beautiful healing song and or dance, a healing beauty dance to the most inspiring music that mirrors your beauty back to you. Choose something with, confidence, with flair, something that makes you happy, something that makes you feel empowered, and give a full dance, or you can make your own song. That's what she's saying. You can make your own song music, you can make your own dance, you can make your own song and then make your own dance and dance to the song that you made. Like that would be, I think, top tier. No. So we have the collage to define a sacred beauty collage to define your vision of sacred beauty. So the colors, the fabrics, the scents, everything like that. I talked about this more during the chop break. But yeah, basically you're trying to find your vision and trying to find an inspiration and trying to visualize the future in a very tangible way. So then we have Design a Sacred Beauty Natural Hairstyle Book. And this can be another Pinterest thing, or it can be, however it is you decide to put it together. But basically make a natural hairstyle book of hairstyles that inspire you, of hairstyles that inspire you in the form of sacred beauty, through that lens. And is, your unique beauty affirmed. So we're going to finish with the My Sacred Beauty End of the Week commitment, as well as the Beauty of the Sacred Woman on page 242. So we have, so you can write this down in your book. You can just say it out loud, your womb journal, or, however it is you're doing this, or you can just say it out loud and affirm. I commit myself to establishing and continuing the wisdom of my ancestors and the power of sacred beauty in all areas of my life. As a sacred woman, I embody beauty, dignity, majesty, and grace. We honor our ancestors who embody absolute beauty, sensuousness, and grace, like that which came through Makeda, Queen of Sheba of the Nile Valley, like the beauty that Sarah Vaughan sang, like the beauty that moves through Judith Jameson when she dances and brings our souls with her to wade in the water. The nature of creation is that it is always progressing towards beauty. Allah is beautiful and Allah loves beauty, says the Quran. The nature of the body is to beautify itself. The nature of the mind is to have beautiful thoughts. The longing of the heart is for beautiful feeling. The sacred woman is the most radiant and most beautiful woman. She is the manifestation of the Most High, and the Most High within her brings unmeasurable beauty. Everyone who looks upon this sacred woman is captivated by her divine beauty. It is yours to admire and enjoy, just like the natural beauty of rose petals and dewdrops. Wherever a sacred woman journeys, she leaves the essence of beauty behind her. All right. I really love that part because it really reminds us that sacred beauty is natural. It's not something to be ashamed of. I know like people love to shame people who adhere to any kind of beauty standards a lot of the time, like as being egotistical, being bad. Like people, they love to be like, oh, I can get ready in 2 minutes. I just slap on this and this and that's it. I don't have to do all that. I don't cake my face like, oh, I don't do this. Or they dressed up all that. I don't do too much like that person does. I just wear jeans and a t-shirt. You know what I mean? We like to, separate ourselves often a lot of the times from this beautiful things, but really it's not anything to be ashamed of. It is natural, like the dewdrops, like rose petals, like, the sunlight. It's just something that is, and it's natural for humanity to gravitate towards that. It's natural for nature to gravitate towards beauty often, and sometimes not when beauty doesn't come in handy, but still. Anyways, I thought that was such a beautiful analogy that Queen made there. That is the end of Sacred Beauty for the week. Next week, we will be starting on Sacred Space. If you want to look into more of what I'm going to be talking about with Sacred Space, I urge you to read Marie Kondo's books about, the magic of tidying up or whatever, I think is one of them, and the other one is Spark Joy, but you don't really need Spark Joy. The first one is what you need. If you want to expand on sacred space and the concept of utilizing it, because she was a Shinto priestess, so she really understands sacred parts of the space and loving and utilizing and kind of blessing each item that you own. And I thought that was really beautiful. But that's next week, and we'll talk about it then. Thank you so much for sticking with me through this gateway and all of the other ones. And I think, this journey is really starting to, come together, I think. Hi, so we're going to take our chop break, but for our chop break today, I wanted to urge you, instead of talking about food or intake, I wanted to urge you doubly in our 7-day transformation work for Sacred Beauty. One of the tasks that she urges you to do throughout that week is to make a collage of what sacred beauty is to you, a vision board of what it means to you. Find people who are dressed the way that empowers you. Find, images, colors, different shades. She mentions what fabrics do you see? Which scents do you smell? Is it going to be something light and springy and like the rain, or is it going to be more musky and like cedar wood or something? You know what I mean? Which is it? Which are you? Which type are you going for? Really having this vision in mind of what personally empowers you, how you personally see yourself, and further, because what we're trying to do, right, is we're trying to make it so that our energy exudes the energy that we're trying to make, that sacred beauty, that sacred womanhood, however womanhood is defined to you, or that sacred personhood. You're making it so that energy radiates out from you when you enter the room. It's like a aura, it's like a bubble around you, and it's very powerful to use your clothes as a tool to facilitate this energy, right? So we're not saying, it's certain clothings have this energy. It's saying you should learn to read these energies and learn what empowers you, because what for her may be empowering. For example, somebody sent me a message. I don't even know their name. don't even have my phone on me. Anyways, she was talking about my live on Instagram where I was talking about, it's not about what you wear. And she was like, exactly, it's not about wearing your Africa shaped earrings or your specific head wrap or whatever else. Like she said the African shaped earrings, it made me chuckle just because it's like we all have those wooden earrings, you know what I mean, like I don't have them now, but I mean at some point in my life I'm pretty sure I had. If it wasn't like an Africa shape, it was like RBG something. I don't know. You know what I'm talking about. Those earrings that everybody's, sells, and they all kind of have the same theme, and they all kind of speak towards a certain woman or person that we're supposed to be. And that's fine if that does empower you. You know what I mean? If it gives you, warmth and excitement when you see the shape of Mama Africa on your ears, you know what I mean? Next to your face, it feels bold, it feels beautiful, then that's empowering for you. But if you're not like the big earring wearing type, or you prefer to wear gold, or, there's so many other things, you know what I mean? There's so many other ways to represent yourself as an African woman, as a black woman, as a mixed black woman, however you are and however you identify. I mean, you shouldn't be anything other than that if you're watching this video. I mean, it's for black women. So, but long story short, I mean, or sorry, also people with wombs are welcome. Black people with wombs. My point was black, not just women. My point was you should be black. But anyways, where was I? Like finding those ways that really make really make your heart sing, really make you understand that you can go into this situation, remain in your center, remain distinctly in who you are, because you can remain in who you are because it's you. It's so naturally you. And as you become, more accustomed to doing what's natural to you, to following your own intuition, to, not trying to represent yourself as somebody else, I think, you'll be able to step into your power and utilize it that much better. You're not always going to be like waiting for somebody else to make the next step because you're the person making the first step. It's like how the Kardashians copy Rihanna, and it's kind of sad to watch, right? The first time I heard of it was years ago. Somebody showed pictures side by side, and they were like saying about how Kim K hired the paparazzi to follow Rihanna for like a year and take a picture every day of her clothes. And then they made a lookbook of it, Kim K and her sisters, and now they use it. And I'm sure you could find it, whatever. And then it's like, then they did it again for like Rihanna's skincare, right? Rihanna said, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna all she did was copyright it, right?" And then the Kylie had to jump in. I have a skincare line too. I'm gonna pump it out in 2 months. It's not gonna be worth anything. It's not gonna be good for your skin, but it's gonna say my name on it, and people are gonna buy it. That's like, it's that kind of thing is exactly what we're trying to avoid. Kylie, people, they claim she's beautiful. I think surgery suited her. It definitely suited her. But what she has is not sacred beauty, because the power does not come from within herself. You can get surgery. Oh, you can get surgery and the power still comes within yourself. But you can be clear that the Kardashians, despite all the surgery, despite all of the, things that have come their way, they still wait for other people to make the move first. They still are not operating from a place of sacred beauty because they're so busy copying other people. They're so busy trying to see what other people are doing, trying to see what somebody else is like, what the first trend is, so that they can wear it, so that they can claim that they made that first trend. But it wasn't really unique to them, and it really has no special power within them that gives them that strength, which is kind of why they do things like leak to the newspaper that they think that Kylie's, business is worth $900 million, they think, and so then it's like, she's the next millionaire, billionaire. And so they have to keep like leaking things and making it seem like they're bigger than they are, and like they're doing things more than they are, and like they're progressing, and they're free thinkers more than they are, right? Kim K having to take, credit for basically paying the lawyers to do the work, or funding a, most people wouldn't brag that they did something after donating to, the Red Cross, or, something else. They wouldn't take credit for anything that was done in any other country, for having donated to the Peace Corps or whatever. But for some reason, she donated to something, and she, you know what I mean? They have to keep making other people believe things and keeping up this facade, and it must get tiring, right? It must get so tiring to fake it constantly, to constantly like be taking on other people's mantles and putting it on yourself, taking other people's sacred veil and trying to see through it. Is it gonna work? Like, to some extent, to some extent you'll be successful, but you won't be operating from that level of understanding and controlling this power that we're talking about, this sacred tool we're talking about, this sacred energy we're talking about. And that's what you and I are trying to do, right? We're trying to make this energy, this tool, be something that we can utilize. So this week, as this month ends, I highly suggest, if you cannot print these pictures out or get a magazine, because I feel like that's not as common as it was when we were kids. When we were kids, there was a National Geographic in any corner of any place we went to. You know what I mean? There was a magazine, and you could make collages out of anything because there were magazines everywhere. Now it's like, they're like, make a vision board. I'm like, with what? With what? You want me to go rob the local doctor's office for their magazines? Because they're the only people left who have magazines, you know what I mean? Anyway, long story short, if you can't get your hands on these things, I highly suggest you just bust open Pinterest and make yourself a vision board that way. And Pinterest is really good for that stuff, because the second you start to get 6, 7, 8 things on that list, that's like, this is the aesthetic I'm going for, Pinterest will be like, I got you. I got you. I know what you like. And they'll start recommending you things. And then that way you can kind of build your vision board, build your vision for how you're, how you're going to build yourself up to be, And again, you're making sure it's authentic. It's not just, I like that. Because there's so many things that I personally just like, but it's like, is that me? And imagine yourself wearing it. Imagine yourself smelling like that. Put it onto you and see if it fits. You know what I mean? I think, mentally put it on you and see if it fits and see if it works for you. You know what I mean? And don't be scared about what other people saying about, like, this is what fashion is. Like, you can, like, make sure it fits, make sure it's comfortable. But I mean, to be completely honest, a lot of the fashion rules are kind of built around, it's not even just fat phobia, because it will be for people who are not anywhere near fat. It's basically, all the fashion rules are written if you're very thin and have a more Eurocentric body. And then everybody else, it's just like, it goes downhill from there. And, there's these rules, and there's, if you do that, and then it's like, if you're curvy, heaven forbid, everything you do is going to be sexualized. You know what I mean? And so it's like, she wears it, and it was like business attire, but then you wore it, and it was like totally inappropriate. I don't know. So anyways, my whole point is that, like, following the rules is sometimes necessary. Like, there are some things that do look better on different body types, but you do have to be careful with that, because it's racism, fat phobia, misogyny. There's a whole lot tied up in the fashion world, and it's getting better. A little bit by bit, again, getting better. But I don't know, I say take risks, like, if somebody's like, you can't wear crop tops if you're over a certain poundage, or like, don't show your stomach if you've got like a mom tummy and it wrinkles, don't be like, it's like, okay, dude, like, I didn't want to see your ugly attitude, but here we are. So anyway, that's my advice. That's my advice. You hear all this stuff around my feet. My husband just comes in and he'll just like drop his tools and his things. Whatever. All right, let me take this hit. Look at this. Look, first of all, I'm all clean today. That's a really big chop for how clean this like piece is. So I'm about to embarrass myself. me. Okay. Okay. It's my first chop of the day, you guys. I shouldn't have done all that. I skipped it, fed my kids, did all this other stuff. I was cleaning the house, and I was like, oh, I didn't take a chop. Let me go videotape, do a chop. That one got me. Okay. That really got me. Holy crap. All right, so anyways, yeah, let's focus on our sacred beauty. Let's focus on being uniquely ourselves. Let's focus on achieving our personal dreams. Let's focus on making our dreams personal and our goals personal, and the way we present ourselves personally, and or personal. See, now I'm too high to be having this conversation. Alright, so I cannot for the life of me find my Dinker cards this week. It's always one or the other, isn't it? It's always one or the other. And I know it's in like a bag that I'm just gonna like see kicking around. It's the one I always take outside. And now I can't remember where I put it. So anyways, so we're going to skip over the Adinkra card, and we'll do the Adinkra studies next week. But this week we will instead just do the, why did I toss this? This is what I'm trying to read right now. Well, we will read the 42 law that we were trying to study. So we are going to do the one we were supposed to do last week and the one we're supposed to do this week. So last week's was, I will not copulate with a person's spouse. That's me putting two together. It was like a man's husband, a woman's man. I think the point of it wasn't specifically with somebody of the opposite sex who was married. It was somebody who is married. It's somebody else. You know, I will not have sex with people who are married. I will not have sex with people who are, you know, living together, doing their whole thing, highly committed, etc., etc. I will respect other people's boundaries. I will respect other people's relationships. I will recognize that it does not give me something to, you know, try and seduce other people's spouses. I recognize that it's, you know, not healthy to be pursuing other people's spouses or to be pursuing people who are in relationships. You know, there are a lot of reasons why that's, you know, not moral. And I think a lot of them are pretty obvious. You know what I mean? It just, you're not really giving yourself a gift by trying to get this type of person, because if they can be got like that, they're pretty much not a catch. So, you know, it's kind of a lose-lose in a lot of a situation, or maybe it's a win sometimes. I think maybe, I don't know. However you twist it for yourself to justify. But overall, morally, sleeping with somebody else's spouse is a no-no. I mean, I guess there's like, again, there's the crazy, like, what if somebody was like abused and they can't get a divorce or some crazy situation. Yeah, I mean, I guess like in that case, there's some crazy situation where morally it would be like, okay. I don't know, like they've been separated for so long, what can they do? I don't know. But for the most part, it's just not okay. And you know it's not okay, you know. And I think a lot of people try and like make it sound feminist to sleep with taken people, and that's really, I think it kind of, you know, it's not sticking it to marriage or the patriarchy, really. That's just being kind of an asshole to people who trust you. So yeah, that's that. There's a reason that rule is in place. Then we have today's, which was, I will not pollute myself. So I think this is a good one for sacred women to embody, or people who are trying to follow this sacred woman's path, because it reminds us that a lot of what we're putting into ourselves is ultimately pollution. So that could be the food, the drugs, the, you know, alcohol, whatever indulgences we have, tobacco, I don't know what other ones people have. Or it could be pollutions such as what we're listening to, the type of things we're believing, what we're willing to look away from and continue to see because we like it or whatever, justifying it that way. There's also, we've been talking earlier, we were talking about etiquette, you know, how your posture is, how you speak, how you act, etc. And, you know, etiquette is a way of showing yourself in a very cleansed, manner, right? A manner free of any of those negative connotations, and rather allow somebody to focus on the essence of what you're trying to do. So I think, thinking about polluting ourselves, thinking about what actions we're taking, what thoughts we're thinking, what moves we're making, and thinking to yourself, is this helping me or is this polluting me? Is this cleansing me? Is this bringing me to a state of betterment, or is it polluting me and kind of dragging me down and weighing me down from what my goals ultimately are? I am super feeling this look from the sacred movement section. I wanted to talk to you about it. When I was getting ready to do it, I really didn't want to do it for some reason today. And I always want to do it. I always want to do it. I didn't like that. So I was like, you know what? Let me just go through my sacred movement tools. Let me see what I have. And I found this scarf. And then I just turned on the music. And once you get moving, it feels so good. Once you do the work, like it's like you're like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. And then you do it and you feel so good. Anyways, I wanted to share that little mini lesson with you before I let you go. Thank you so much for joining me for the Sacred Sister Circle. And please subscribe if you haven't already. Please help us get to 1,000 so we can go back to going live. And join the Patreon for some extra goodies, a lot of PDFs pertaining to spiritual work, magic work, things like that if you're interested in it.